Today I'll be talking about this wonderful keyboard made by Sikakeyb, the HM80. From the first glance it is clear what board they had in mind when designing this layout, and it is quite literally the same layout with a similar light bar as the Wooding 80HE. The one notable difference is this screen right here, which holds some pretty nice features. Firstly, you can put some animation on it or a still image like I have done here. Then you have this key stability tester that is also found on the driver. It shows the distance a key is pressed and the wobbliness level of the switch. The next is my favorite, and you can actually play the Chrome Dino game on the keyboard itself. It is the same game that was originally put to Google Chrome as an Easter egg, and it serves as a nice way to kill time between matches. And then there is also a reaction time tester. While I think these are quite fun add-ons on the keyboard, I still wonder how much performance does the extra screen cut from the keyboard, and I would still like to have a way to turn the screen off, because there is none even on the driver. The overall build of the keyboard is very nice. Even though the board's case is made from ABS plastic, it feels and sounds very high quality. There is also a metallic weight on the bottom, so the board is not too lightweight and it stays in place pretty well on my desk. It has a very retro-ish look going on with all the beige color, and for me the combination of this retro look with the light bar and the screen make a nice retro futuristic combination. The case also has adjustable stands with two different angle settings, and yet again my favorite is the middle one. The keycaps seem to be very high quality, dies up PBT with overall thickness of 1.6 millimeters, which is very nice. Also, the legends seem to be pretty consistent all across the keyboard, and the keycaps feel like some really nice quality PBT keycaps. The stabilizers are also nicely looped, and there seems to be no rattliness on them, and I could have sworn they are screw-in stabs just based on how they feel and how they perform, but they are in fact plate mounted, so they are implemented incredibly well on this one. The spacebar is also pretty interesting, since you can actually split it in three with the included extra stabilizers and switches, and the software supports it by default. The switches this board comes with are the much loved Jade Pros from JERRORR, and they feel and sound very nice here as well. You really cannot go wrong with these switches, it seems like. Inside the board, according to Sikakeyb's website, there is a very nice construction of silicone and poron layers, and based on how this feels and sounds like, they have really concentrated on making this board feel as good as it can. The typing feel is smooth, and the gaskets provide some slight softness to the typing feel as well, and the plate material they have used is aluminum. Here is a quick sound test. Then let's take a look at the driver, which is something they could improve quite a bit in my opinion. So on the left there are different profiles you can configure, and at the bottom you have function, performance, light and calibration tabs. On the function page you can click on a key and choose between different functions like the different rapid fire modes and ultimately the SOCD, which I have not fiddled around on this so much. Then you can also remap keys here. On the performance page you can then adjust the actuation distances, and this page is very confusing at first if you are used to the structure of other keyboard manufacturers use. You also pretty quickly can notice that there is no way of disabling rapid trigger on any of the keys, and you just have to fiddle with the sliders to find the best settings that are the most stable and usable for your needs. But let's take a look at the sliders. Let's select WSD at first, and here we have some presets: extreme, fast and normal. From these, the extreme is extremely responsive like the name suggests, and I found myself to be more consistent with the fast setting. And for most of my other keys, that are not in gaming use, I use the normal setting, which is the closest thing to a rapid trigger off type of feel. The first slider is kind of like the dead zone adjustment for the key, and the next one is the distance it needs to travel on top of the first slider to actuate. The last slider is then the distance the key needs to be released to deactuate. And as you can see, the lowest number these can adjust to is 0.01 millimeters, which is a very low number. And at the lowest settings, the board is way too responsive, and you will start to have some really bad issues. So my advice is to keep the release distance at least at 0.04 millimeters. And if we fiddle with these even further, we can see that the lowest dead zone that can be is 0.1 millimeters. So if we put the first one at 0 and try to put the second slider to the lowest, we can see that the first one jumps to 0.09 millimeters, totaling at 0.1 millimeters. This is just to give the board some stability in actual use. But my advice is to try these presets at first and adjust from there according to your liking. The bottom dead zone of this board, which I measured with my new toy here, is extremely low on this board, and it goes lower than what this device can measure accurately. So I have noted it down as 0.05 millimeters, but it's most likely even lower than that. What that means in practical terms is that there is no area on the bottom of the key press when a change is not registered. A dead zone is usually added to improve the stability and reduce the amount of keys deactivating by themselves with a normal amount of key wobble. On some keyboards it is a configurable setting, but with this software there is only one setting for it, and it is off. This is one thing that makes it very important to do a good calibration when getting this board or changing switches, or if you encounter some issues. Latency is something that I can't measure yet from this board, since it seems to draw more power than the XLAT can provide, but I will have a potential fix for that soon. So stay tuned for some actual numbers in some next Hall effect keyboard video I do. But using this board in Apex is a very responsive experience, and I had to spend some considerable time tuning the sliders and grinding mechanics at the firing range to be more comfortable with it. But after you get a hang of it and have your settings tuned in, it is a very fun keyboard to use. For example, super gliding feels very effortless on it, and so do every other movement thing also. Personally, I still value a stable experience a good bit, so I don't really see myself meaning this board so much. But if you are someone who wants those lowest dead zones possible and likes tweaking their actuation distances a lot to craft the perfect experience for you, I can very much recommend this board. It is a fairly expensive one, but it seems that they have dropped the price quite a bit, and it appears to be on sale as well currently. But overall, I do enjoy this board quite a bit, with all the little games it has and the extremely responsive experience it offers. The software is just something that is not the most intuitive to use. But that is about it. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one. Goodbye.